Hello, everybody, and welcome to the pod. We are the Backseat Drivers. I'm your host, Josh George, and please welcome my co-host, Josh Constant.
Hello
On
there.
today's show, we'll be talking all things Miami. So, without any further ado, let's get straight into this, shall we, Josh? So, first, as will be a tradition on this podcast, we're going to go over some quick F1 news. So, anything you found on the internet at all recently, Josh? Anything interesting? Some juicy gossip, paddock rumors, or just some absolute nonsense from every F1 Twitter and Reddit stan that there is? Anything interesting?
Yeah, I mean, I found quite a lot that was related to the weekend. I mean, it was quite apparent that Sky Sports were talking to Christian Horner quite a lot. I'm not the biggest Christian Horner fan, as this pod will learn.
You don't say. You don't say.
Yeah, there was quite a lot of people complaining about that, myself included, on the group chat that we have about him. I also found a bit of a gossip mill with Daniel Ricciardo, but I think that's a lot of hearsay. But again, not sure about
what's
that.
That's
gossip
mill stuff.
Well, yeah, Zach Brown basically said it wasn't abrupt, but it was, yeah, we got him to 2023. We're going to give him hugs and cuddles until then, but after that, not sure. So it's almost like they're very much going to stick to what they've got for the moment. But you wouldn't make that comment so early on in the season, in my opinion. But again, rumor mill.
Yeah. What are we? Race 5? This is race 5, isn't it?
Yeah, race 5.
So, yeah, race 5. I mean, he's still not done very well. So I can get like a team like McLaren who now desperately needs to constantly fight to even look at P4 in the drivers. That'd be the day. Constructors Championship. They're going to need to really not have Daniel Ricciardo, driving around in 19th, 18th place.
Well, it's apparent
because he had a whoopsie.
Yeah, I mean, I found it funny when we saw in the qualifying when you saw Brundle's commentary on Sky, and he's on for a wicked fast lap, and then he goes, and he's here for 50, and he's here for 14th.
Yeah, I think it was like he was watching me. He's gone like green on a first and second sector, and he's going to go green in sector 3 because his time's up. And Martin Brundle was like, "Can Daniel Ricciardo improve? Yes, he can. He's 14th." And it was like the most anticlimactic thing ever.
Exactly.
It's a shame.
It is a shame. But like we were discussing off pod, is that I've lost it for Ricciardo now. I still like the guy, and he's like probably one of the most human type characters from the F1 grid. He's just, you can't back him up anymore, in my opinion.
No, I agree. He's
this doesn't warrant it.
He's paid what? Over £20 million, euro, whatever.
Yeah.
A year to drive a car fast, and I mean he's obviously can drive it faster than me. Maybe, who knows? Might be secret F1 driver. I'm not that rich, so I don't know. But yeah, he's paid a lot of money to drive a car fast, and when he's not driving a car as fast as the guy that's paid probably over half of his half of his wage. In Lando Norris, who's just absolutely wiping the floor with Ricciardo now for a year and 5 races, basically. It's embarrassing for Ricciardo, but it's also embarrassing for McLaren with this hype sign of wow, Daniel Ricciardo, championship level driver, all this, and we haven't seen that since maybe 2018.
Yeah, but this is the same thing this thing has been around his neck for a couple of years, though, isn't it? It's been, Daniel Ricciardo, 9-time Grand Prix winner, amazing at Red Bull, took Vettel's spot, immediately. All of these kind of things. Why didn't a bigger team go for him earlier on in his career? Okay, yeah, Renault sold him a few dreams, and maybe they weren't as good as they turned out to be. But why was it only them offering and not someone else? I mean, a bit suspicious, I guess, but he's still got it could be what he was at Red Bull. And to be fair, what he was at Red Bull was only a Grand Prix winner on his day, which is probably no different to, Lando Norris, potentially. I know he hasn't got a Grand Prix win, but like we was discussing off pod, he definitely deserved 3 last year. People like Carlos Sainz, definitely going to be a Grand Prix winner. And people of that caliber, Bottas style again. But he's always said he wanted to be a champion. And I don't think that's ever going to happen, unfortunately, for Daniel.
Yeah,
personally.
I think everyone can kind of see it. He's getting on. He really needs to be very similar to Alonso coming back. Like, I want to win a championship. It's like, okay, you're 40, and you're in an Alpine, so good luck. Unless suddenly Red Bull or Ferrari decide to pick you up, which I don't think that's going to happen. Then unfortunately, Mr. Magic Alonso, you're not going to be going anywhere.
Yeah,
you ain't going to have another championship. But yeah, I think that's an interesting bit of news with Ricciardo. I see it a lot online as well.
I mean, it wasn't really
F1
anything.
fans.
I think it's like the newspapers in England, as soon as they read something like this from basically Formula One or an English team, it's, oh my God, he's going to get it. It's going to be sacked. But when you look into it, it's not really a rumour mill at all. But it's the questions are being asked into the 5th race of his 2nd season, and they shouldn't
exactly.
be. And you can't blame the car anymore. That was last year.
No one's sitting here going, oh yeah, who really should leave the team is Sergio Perez. He should leave.
Yeah,
no one's doing that, but people are saying there's no one else that's. I mean, once Mazepin left, and now the only one left is Latifi to go. Then we have a quality grid. No hard feelings on the person Latifi, on the driver Latifi. I'm sorry, you're not quick enough, and you're never going to be quick enough.
Right.
For Albon to have a year out, apart from the 200 million laps around Copse Corner he did last year on the simulator, he hasn't had any F1 experience, and then he only had half a year in a bottom car, and then a full year in a car that was good, but the pressure was boiling over him, and then he just hops into Williams and is instantly, sitting on 3 points now, which for Williams is absolutely huge. 3 points, more than 3. 4 points,
it was
something like that.
10th, 9th, and 10th, wasn't it, for Albon now?
No, he did 10th, 11th, 10th, or the other way around, but that's like
still big for Williams.
That's like when George Russell scored a point in Williams, he was crying. Yes, he had 3 years of an absolutely terrible car, and Albon's got the Williams is still probably the worst car on the grid, which is a shame. But in the hands of Alex Albon, it seems to be performing at the best of the terrible, if you see what I mean.
Well, you give the team a competent driver, i.e. Russell and now Albon, you get points. And that was, if we recall back to the Drive to Survive episode with Jos Capito, or whatever his name is, that's what they wanted. Right. They wanted to be the team that could pick up a point where, everyone else is fighting and they just see, 10th or 9th, just open up all of a sudden. And they do that. And that's, to be fair, testament to him this year and last year, to be fair, but this year, more importantly, with Albon, that's been their main thing. And it's worked.
Already. I mean, in other news, no one seems to really be talking about this too much, but it's the first time, I think, in Formula One history I saw, I mean, someone will correct me if I'm wrong on that every single team has at least 1 point.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's a big stat.
Every single team has 1 point. Within, I think it was the race last week, 2 weeks ago in Imola, that was when that actually happened. So within 4 races, every team has got a point. When you look at 2 years ago, Williams, Haas, and was it Williams and Haas? No, Williams, Alfa Tauri Williams, Alfa Romeo, Sauber back then. So those 2 teams, I don't think they even got a point in 2018, 2019 maybe. I know Haas obviously for 2 years struggled to we're already when people are saying these regulations have obviously very much worked, and I see a lot of people going, we might not be getting 50 overtakes a race, but teams are scoring points. Like, if it wasn't for the Aston Martins just braking for no reason, Aston Martin probably would have got a good haul of points. But them starting from the pit lane and then getting stuck in the Aston Martin hard tyre.
Yeah, we'll get onto the hard tyre in a minute. I feel like it's a conversation to have.
Oh, yeah. All that said, I've got a point in that. So, yeah, no, that's one more thing, the news, before we wrap the news up, is I absolutely love Martin Brundle's grid walks.
Oh wow! I keep seeing memes and things on Instagram and TikTok and stuff.
He literally is
my
like
God.
trending into communities that have no idea who he is, and I see so many people talking smack. Like, oh my God, he didn't know that influencer guy I was talking to you about the other day at the gym. That, like, I don't even know who he is, but he's talking down to Martin Brundle on his story literally right now. Of time of this recording, you could go on whoever that Instagram bloke's story is, and he's just talking down at him. I'm like, mate, on an F1 grid, you are no one.
Yeah.
Martin Brundle is like goated reporter on an F1 grid. So when you're standing on that grid, Lewis Hamilton probably knows who Martin Brundle is more than he knows who you are, mate. So you need to pipe down with your fame. That was a little rant there, but yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. But his grid walks just expose celebrities for absolutely being a walking billboard, referring to Pharrell Williams with Richard Mille, which is the funniest thing I think I might have ever seen on a Formula One grid.
I think just in case, if Richard Mille is keen on advertising this pod, you know, I'm doing this pod with Josh George and Backseat Drivers. However, I'm with my boy Richard Mille, so yeah, I don't mind.
Yeah, just make sure, you know, Richard Mille. We like Richard Mille.
Yeah, we
loads,
love Richard Mille.
You know, I'm a supporter of Mercedes and George Russell and Lewis, but you know, Richard Mille,
he's my boy.
There he is, Richard Mille. He's my boy. He is here right now. In fact, he's at my front door right now. Let me go get him. Yo, Richard Mille. But yeah, I just think that was the most absolutely ridiculous thing I've ever seen, and I love it because I'm not a fan of celebrities. I think they're bloated ego like addicts. And you can just see they have literally zero personality. They're walking there.
But that is a good segue, right? I think to the Miami GP as a whole. So,
and you've taken it right out my mouth.
100%.
Exactly as I was about to say.
With the Miami,
are you looking at my notepad?
No, I'm just a mind reader by heart.
Unbelievable.
With the Miami GP, I've got a tweet up, and I'm going to read the points that I think it's Formula Geordie. I think he's quite a popular guy on the Twitter F1 front. And
is his name Geordie, or is he a Geordie? Because
he could be
that's
both,
an important fact.
Maybe we'll have it on Monday to work out. So his
Formula
few
Geordie,
thoughts
confirmed.
After the Miami GP are, I think, probably what everyone else was thinking, bar the Americans. So I'm going to read them off line by line, so we can hear it from the pod, so it's not all speculation. So everything looks so artificial. Point 1. Point 2, FIA inconsistent with safety concerns.
Once again.
Point 3, absurd amount of celebrities present. Point 4, everyone managing these tyres all race ZZZZZ, i.e. sleeping.
Snooze fest guaranteed.
Correct. Point 5, lucky but deserved recovery from Russell. Point 6, Albon points again unnoticed. 7, and the final point, Max wins or DNFs.
Yeah, I did see that tweet the other day.
I think it's because we both follow
Max wins or DNF quote.
I think it's because we both follow Battery Voltas, to be honest.
Oh yeah, I think he's probably the most, maybe apart from some of the other podcast people and content creators, he's got to be the most followed, right? How many followers is Voltas?
I don't know, but following on from that, I'll find out. What's your thoughts on
Excellent.
What them points I've just raised?
Yeah, 100%. You know, I think everybody knew that as soon as people bolted on hard tyres and then there was nothing happening, people just want to get to the end of the race without hitting a wall. There were some spicy things going on up and down in the field. Fernando Alonso apparently just wanted to hit everyone. I don't know what that was about, but he did. I think he tagged Lewis, Pierre, and Lance Stroll.
Yeah,
and he got like 10 seconds worth of penalties by the end of the race. At least that was a bit interesting. There was a lot of it was a strange race. The beginning of it felt incredibly artificial. I don't mind as long as it's a good race. I don't really care where they put it. They could put it in my back garden, right? And I didn't really care as long as it's a good race. But it felt, even for me, who's just I like the race, that felt like a little bit too forced. You know, with opening ceremony, it was cool, but it was also cringe having all of the F1 drivers and team bosses up there, and they're getting them to say their piece about this, that, and this, and and it's
I
like
think
some of them didn't even get to speak.
I think
that were on.
the issue with it, right, is it works in America and it works in Miami more so because Miami is like America personified, and so is
party capital.
yeah. And so to be fair, so will Vegas. That'll be the same, and I imagine Texas is like the pinnacle as well for all those kind of things. But my point is, what you got to try and think about is imagine putting all of these scenarios. So the fake boat pull, which what it did actually after we rinsed it for a couple of hours a couple of weeks ago, it worked out quite well because that's what it was basically a way of saying this is what we're doing. But imagine that at Spa or Silverstone or Hockenheim, one of the great old circuits. Imagine this type of fake artificial design language that went into circuit design. Just imagine what it would do there. It works in Miami, works in America because that's what it's all about. But imagine it there. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't fit.
Yeah.
And it just wouldn't work for the audience that go to see it.
It goes back onto the thing of if it's in America, it has to be ultra marketable, right? I think I saw a tweet over the race, and it was like everyone's kind of expecting all the racing drivers to suddenly stop, pull up, so Nicki Minaj can do a halftime show.
Yeah.
And it was like, I was like, do you know what? I generally would not be surprised.
Oh, no, I don't think anyone would be
I
surprised.
would not be surprised.
Yeah. I don't think anyone would be.
It's like, what's happening? What? There's a red flag. Is there a crash? No. But there's fireworks at the top of the stadium and somebody's parachuting down. Oh my God. It's, I don't know, like Nicki Minaj and
Pharrell
Kanye
Williams
West
and his
are
boy.
here. Pharrell Williams with Richard Mill. And, but yeah, it was very farcical. At the end, oh my God, when I didn't watch a podium ceremony.
But there's a few other reasons why you don't watch them.
Yeah, I won't get into those because we'll just lose 50% of the audience. But yeah, so I don't get why they had to they changed it to NFL helmets.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Okay, cool. And then they blasted confetti all over them. And then they had a police escort like he was an absolute bad man. And it's like, what? And then the interviewer afterwards, who was just calling everybody baby and talked to Charles Chuck Leclerc, yeah. And he talked to them like they were children. I get it. He is an ex-racing driver. He's got that America. That's who he is. He speaks like this. But I was like, there was no insight into the race. It's just like, it was like just asking him if he likes to do boxing. And you're like, what?
When you see, I don't know, like at Silverstone, for example, rolls back to last year with Jenson Button, and they asked the drivers what it was like to do that. The man clearly, I don't even know who he is. So the man, he just knew that they were hot and bothered. Didn't really go into too much detail aside from great race. It's good to be in Miami, isn't it? And that's sort of as far as it went, to be fair.
Yeah. Another stroke in Miami's ego. I don't think there was a single American who came onto the broadcast that wasn't Miami.
As an Englishman, though, even Bex was part of that cohort. And I know he's quite big into Miami, but still, as an Englishman.
Barely class David Beckham as English anymore.
Yeah,
he's like, I mean, it is Sir David Beckham, isn't it? He is OBE, right?
Yeah, but he's always Bex to me.
But I was just like, yeah, I mean, you still can't take away his accent and that he sounds like a 5-year-old. But he's, I just thought it was just oversaturated nonsense. The fact that Martin Brundle couldn't find a Formula One driver on the Formula One grid.
Except for Lance Stroll.
Except for Lance Stroll. Yeah. They've had no car. Yeah, no car and no one around.
I'll tell you who was there, though, I'll tell you who was there waiting for the cameras.
Oh, we know he was waiting for the cameras all the time. He was probably texting Martin Brundle, I'm at the front, come find me.
I don't know what I heard it from. Was it might have been Brundle again, actually, saying that he wanted to have the team. No, it's Ted Kravitz in the notebook, basically saying he wants to have all the team principals going around like the drivers do before the race. And apparently Mattia Binotto said, no, not interested, don't have enough time. So did Toto Wolff. The one person who wanted to, have a guess who that was.
No way. Is that? Yeah. I want to find
Ted
that.
Kravitz said it. I think it's about 8 or 6 minutes into the notebook after the race, basically saying, he was like, Mattia Bonotto and Toto was like, yeah, we don't have time for this kind of thing. We got work to do. We got people to manage. We've got things to do. Christian Horner rocks up. Yep, that is the one thing I will do because I have so much time for camera work and media training and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, he is media training. Oh,
he is the media.
Wow. Well, I think that basically wraps up how we think Miami was. I've got some more stuff to go into, obviously. But
yeah, I mean, Miami,
as a host,
the event.
Miami is a host. We're talking about like how they hosted it. It was good, but a bit too cringe. It's a race, it's not.
But without frustrating the Americans with the whole thing, as an Englishman and as a race fan, I suppose purist, anything in America, like this goes for the NFL, this goes for, I don't know, the football that we play against you guys sometimes, it is often over-dramatized and overplayed and over-egged. European fans, we don't particularly like that, but that's just an opinion on the whole thing. So at the end of the day, keep doing what you're doing because it does work for you guys. And I think it works for the F1 management team as well because it brings in more people and that's what they want because more people is more money.
More money for the sport equals more, hopefully, inclusivity.
Yes.
So that's the thing that we want. So basically now, getting on to the second point, as you perfectly segued the first point for me. So how the race actually was. So I want your opinion on the track. We're not going to deviate. This is 4 bullet points. Yep. Boom, 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 boom. Nice. What's your opinion on the racetrack?
I thought the racetrack was good. Good track. I mean, there's some bits that, with any track, I imagine if you did it the first time with Formula 1 cars, there's things you can learn from it immediately. I think it's 10-14. Is it 10-14? The really hard braking zone to go left and then right. I can't remember if that's correct or not.
I think so.
Yeah, not too sure that works for Formula 1 cars, but other than that, decent, in my opinion. I thought it was going to be a bit Jeddah because when I was watching, I was thinking it's a bit tight. Everything's a bit closed in. And then once the race started, it was like lap 5 and literally nothing had happened. I was like, okay, fine. This is going to be cool.
No, you're right. Yeah, turn 14, 15, and 16. Because that's my fit. And Lewis Hamilton, because obviously we have the same sort of, connection and brainwave in thinking. Said it on his Instagram story, I believe. He went, really like the racetrack, but the chicane isn't very fun, basically.
I just think we were discussing it off
promotes not racing.
Yeah, I think if you flattened them curves out and made them a bit more of a third/fourth coast rather than first and second coast kind of thing, then you would be able to get much more of a run onto that corner before the massive straight, and then might be able to eat like someone like K-Mag would be able to get a pass before that, and it would make for some interesting racing going down to the final turn because otherwise there is just a sort of a processional line of cars following on to go to the main straight where they're aiming to attack there rather than using the corner to attack for a organic overtake rather than a DRS assisted overtake.
Because I like how you have the back straight, which is the bit of a bendy straight.
I think that's
and
cool.
Then you have the big long back straight, which is like one of the straightest straights I've ever seen. But leave it to America to literally do a straight line. But I like in Abu Dhabi when you look at that, it always is like one person overtakes, then the next person overtakes back, and then goes into a really complex section, right? And I like the fact that there is a complicated section through turn 11 to 16, but that for me, when I was looking at, I've not got my hands on the F1 game, but when I was looking at it, I'd imagine that section in the F1 game will be the most rewinded because you've crashed into the wall section that there 100%. Is. Because it just looks clunky and not fun and like it's mistake prone unless you're an absolute
those kind of corners,
unreal driver.
Like the chicane that we were discussing about, they kind of work when it goes from being rapid speed to being immediately slow, i.e.
if they got rid of turn 12 and 13 and had turn 11, 12 and 13 and had the straight go right into 14, 15 and 16.
That would work.
I think, because you'd have a bit of a longer straight for more overtaking potential into a heavy braking zone, couple of really a clunky chicane, and then spit it out on the other side, which could leave a lot more following potential and maybe some mistakes from heavy braking.
And it could also leave
I
like
think that could
K-Mag,
be
Daniel Ricciardo type dive bombs, which is, what we want to see, I suppose.
Yeah, if you want to see a big lunge,
Yeah.
unfortunately, you literally need to be like the engine from the Apollo 13 or something in the back of your car to get a dive bomb on a Red Bull at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. But that would be my main thing with the track. I mean, it's kind of built only for DRS overtaking, I think.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I tell you what, one thing quick, I absolutely love the back straight into the pit straight section.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
What a wicked bit of circuit, because it's still pretty high speed. They come out of that big long straight, heavy braking zone, and then like a flat out couple of high speed corners down to the side. No one thought there was going to be overtaking there, but overtaking was basically only happening there. Like, that's where Max got the lead. That's where Lewis and George and Lewis passed Bottas. Loads of people were passing in that section. It was awesome. That pit straight sector is excellent. I think one of the best produced recently on a racetrack, because it provides this like different level of overtaking that you wouldn't usually expect to see. Like two cars following through two sweeping corners really close, because they've literally just come from a long straight.
I do
and
think
again,
that
another
is
opportunity presented to outbrake.
Yeah,
at the end of it.
I do think that's a nice
set
of corners going on to the main
Yeah,
straight.
I think it's one of the best ones.
To be fair, though, I think just on really quickly on that one, I'll just say what my favourite one was. It's I can't remember the numbers on it, but it's after turn 2, where we watched someone's on board. It might even be like Vettel doing 170.
Turn 2 to turn 7 and 8.
Yeah, something like that. Those are amazing. But that's
high speed, not flat out, because you can't go. I was watching a lot of the onboard like tracing stuff. Can't go flat out at all, and it's like you've got a feather, and it's so much risk.
Yeah,
so 100%. Much risk. It's crazy. Right. So the next point, the actual race. So we spoke about the track, the actual race itself. Verstappen P1, Leclerc P2, Sainz P3, Perez P4, George and Lewis sitting in 5 and 6. How did you think the race was in general, overtaking wise? Yeah, basically. What do you reckon?
I mean,
would you be excited for it next year?
Yeah, but there's a couple of prerequisites to the excitement, I think. I mean, something's got to be done with the track just to make it a little bit more free-flowing, rather than it's got a few areas that need to be resolved.
Yeah.
I would also say the race wasn't exciting for a part because of tyre management, which is my biggest bugbear of the whole thing. I mean, you knew that the guys on the hard tyres were going to have a decent race. Some people had better races than others, i.e. George Russell had an amazing well-timed pit stop. Ocon done really well considering he didn't do it, for example. But that was the main thing. I mean, Max...
Can we just say quickly, Lewis got shafted by a safety car for the 3rd time already this season.
It seems to be forever, no? All the time with Lewis.
Just
but
always I feel and it ruins
I feel bad for Lewis, because as soon as this kind of things happens, it's sort of like, oh well, yeah, Lewis is all because he's got a slow car now. He's never been that great anyway. It's sort of no, this is not the case. Dude's probably still getting over what happened last year, which is complete and utter crap. He's struggling with a slower car. Technically, like it's a technically slow car compared to his past. Like the McLaren he had in the back in the day was just bad. They couldn't improve on a bad car. Whereas Mercedes, no,
they did eventually.
Yeah, but it took years. I mean, it took years to get it right. But it's different because we know full well that Mercedes is on the right track. It's just taken a little while. And when you're at the pinnacle for 8-9 years with a car that is immense, and all of a sudden it's not, it's probably quite difficult to judge and understand what to do and where to best to offer like support and things. Whereas George Russell's probably more equipped to that.
I literally about to say, I'm pretty sure I told you my theory why Lewis is drowning and George is swimming, because George has no other expectation than a car that was best for 10th.
Yeah, 100%.
And now he's finishing in 5th, 4th, and every now and again 3rd. you think he's like, yeah, loving this, mate.
Yeah.
This is the highest I've ever finished a race.
And I mean, and Lewis has got
no
so much
expectation.
more. Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot more people coming down on him, and I think it's a bit uncalled for considering where he's at the moment, probably mentally as well, because he's thinking, well, I'm doing the best I can with what I've got. Yes, my teammate is becoming and getting better results, but that's just because his luck's been on his side. He's probably younger, can cope with like issues such as like mental fatigue.
There's no expectation.
Yeah, there's no expectation on it. And George is a bit robotic anyway as a human being, and can just fine tune his persona for a certain event, which is a bit unusual. I don't think Lewis is as robotic as George.
No, definitely not. George is great for PR, where Lewis is, but cannot be at the same
Lewis
time.
is very emotional. You can see that in his interviews. Everyone's asking what he thinks, what's going on with the car, and he can't seem to check his emotions with what's going on. That's because he's been at the top for so long and doesn't know how to react to it, I'd imagine.
Yeah, when was the last time Lewis Hamilton was generally asked, what's wrong with the car? Why is it not working?
Yeah.
Since 2014?
Yeah.
The car has been rapid.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah, so closing thought on that race, would you look forward to it next year? Yes or no? Yes or no? No, nothing else, yes or no?
I can't give an answer like that. It'd be a hearsay.
Mine is yes. I think the racetrack is really good. I think the little expectation that people had for this racetrack, it was really good. It was quite complex in areas. There were some fast bits. There was enough overtaking, but there's an elephant in the room that most people are talking about, but we'll get to that in a minute, which is why you can't say that you like the race and why I'd still be dubious about the race. So the next point, teams. What team do you reckon did well? What team do you think really had a diabolical weekend? What do you reckon?
Okay, so teams that had a good weekend. Let's get the elephant in the room out. Red Bull obviously had a good weekend. That's because they got a rocket ship in their car. Question should be:
that's because they have the best driver literally ever to be born ever of all.
That is
time,
also
ever.
true, but I do think there should be questions asked about that car specifically, why it's so fast. I also think got a good made the best of a bad result. Mercedes for sure. Ferrari, yes, it's fantastic. They got two cars to finish for once in a few races. That's also great. Like there's micro wins everywhere, and then there's micro bad negative points in other places. Like Haas could have been on for a good couple of points. Magnussen seemed to have had a bit of a wobble at the end and ruined it for him.
Yeah, the last 10 laps after the safety car went, he just seemed to struggle, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. And then the Mick and Seb issue, that's not great for a pair of them. And I mean, same for Aston Martin. They could have been on for some decent result considering they had a bit of a weird one with the fuel at the start of the race. That could have been good for them. Williams, again, like we said, had a good one. P10 with Albon. That's great. I mean, P9, sorry. What did it?
Yeah, P9 after
Alonso's
penalty.
I didn't know. I've not followed that. So yeah, Alonso. Wasn't aware that Alonso had that. So yeah, I mean, there's micro wins.
Impressive.
Yeah, I mean, there's micro wins everywhere, and there's micro negatives everywhere. I think McLaren definitely they're not the micro loss here. They're the ones that have had a crap weekend. I.e. Daniel Ricciardo not showing up, considering he said on his helmet, "This is his streets." He didn't get that.
Yeah,
didn't follow the route on.
No, that was the Monaco helmet.
Oh, is it Monaco? I thought it was this one.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Yeah. So
that was the Monaco. That was the embarrassing Monaco one.
Oh, okay. So I got that wrong. So, but yeah, he didn't have a good one. Lando Norris, unfortunately, didn't have a good one. I think even AlphaTauri had a bit of a stinker, to be honest. Gasly normally shows up. A lot of them did. So yeah, a lot of the middle teams, mediocre teams, had pretty mid afternoons.
Yeah, I agree with that. Basically everything. The only thing that I would add is why the hell did McLaren even invite James Corden? I think James Corden is... I just can't deal with him.
I think he's probably one of the most irritating men on TV.
Yeah, he's so fake. There's not a single bit of truth that feels like he's coming out of his mouth. Made him walk around in ripped off... he's just walking around embarrassing them. I don't know what's that for. Why is he walking around in like this and he's doing these little media things? I'm like, why? Why is he there?
I mean,
Why is he
on
doing more than
the
any other celebrity has been able to
on
do?
the contrast front, though, it's probably good for numbers. I mean, he's pretty big in America. I think he's lost a bit of credibility in the
Do
UK,
you know what?
but I think he's pretty big
No,
there.
even in America, in a lot of the like American circles that I talk to, it's like they don't like him because they just think he's pretentious. And it's like, wow, join the UK on that one. No, that's why he's leaving the Late Show, because the views have been going down, 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 and it'll be masked as, or the Late Show, whatever it is.
I don't know. I don't follow it anyway.
Yeah, but yeah, that's my little James Corden rant because I don't like him.
In
But
all
yeah,
fairness to James Corden, there was a lot of celebrities that didn't add a lot of value.
Yeah, God, lots of them.
Not that Pharrell Williams guy though, because he did get invited by Richard Mill.
Didn't he bring
that guy?
Richard Mill.
I mean that was quite a highlight for me.
Richard Mill. Richard Mill.
I rate Richard Mill.
That
what
was
does
his
he
mate,
do?
wasn't it? Yeah. He's Richard Mill. What can I say? Yeah, good teams. I think there's a couple of standouts. The Mercedes were very good, but they could have been excellent. With they had a fast car. Why did they tweak it and then it went slower? They had George Russell up there thinking he's going to get a pole position, fighting for pole at least, and then he qualifies in 12th. I don't know what Mercedes did to that car overnight, but they did something.
In all fairness, with
wrong.
the George Russell qualifying thing, I think he had a mistake. He should have come in maybe about a minute beforehand for his tyres, a bit like what Lewis did in Q3. Yeah. For whatever reason, they both had really scuffed qualifying.
He was that much off the pace, like even with his
but don't forget he scuffed 2 laps, didn't he, and ruined a set of tyres. And thought, actually, I'm going to stick on the tyres I've got. And probably the lap beforehand, when he scuffed it, should have just come straight in. Yeah, he might have been tight for time, but he would have at least tried. I think Mercedes probably
got out on a
let him down. Yeah,
bit of a blunder.
Yeah. And then once the blunder
Mercedes
happened,
had a bit of a blunder with that. You had the Lewis with the safety car thing, asking him to do it. It's like Lewis can only see in front of him. He's got no idea who's around him in a safety car. And then the thing with George and that, I think Mercedes had a bit of a blunder. But apart from that, you can't argue P5 and 6 when you are the third fastest car on merit is good solid haul of points, cementing themselves very comfortably into third place. A couple of accidents for the top teams, and they could catch up with Red Bull.
Yeah, 100%. I think this is one of the first races of the season where both Ferraris and Red Bulls finished.
Yeah,
I can't remember if that's happened before, but it's both of them.
Probably once, maybe. Jeddah, no, I think.
I don't know.
I can't remember. Ferrari, I think good weekend overall. Very consistent. I think Leclerc couldn't do any more than he did. I think he did everything in his power. The car just wasn't, can't say the car, the engine just wasn't there. The fact he was in DRS range of Max, and Max was pulling away in that Red Bull with Leclerc with DRS open and probably with overtake mode whacked up to the full. And Max is just like driving down the road like he's on the A2 going to Sainsbury's, and he can't overtake him. You're like, what? How is that? How's that happening? But apparently it is. It's just a bit. That to me personally, I thought was the only thing with Ferrari. Maybe their setup was a little bit wrong.
I think I can't remember.
Had a better philosophy.
I can't remember who said it. I think it might have been Brundle actually, right before the race, before the qualifying session, potentially. I can't remember what it was, but basically he said that Ferrari had chosen to be faster with the downforce in the slower speed corners. So, i.e. being quicker in turn 14, 15, 16, whereas Red Bull took an approach where just be fast on the straights. And I think if they had the same sort of mentality as what Red Bull did, I think maybe they could have been on par potentially with each other. Max will still have the overspeed issue thing, or not even an issue, but issue for the rest of us. But I think it would have been a bit more like odds even, I guess. But I do think there's a lot of faster speed corners than there was slower speed, and I think that I don't know if that approach would have worked 100%, but
felt like a bit of a miss from Ferrari. They could have had not a 1-2, but they could have definitely had a P1 in there. Other team that I think was pretty good. I mean, apart from the drivers, I think Alpine weren't too far off, they were doing pretty good. And unfortunately, Aston Martin in the same thing. I think they had the team was good, but the car just wasn't reliable, and that's the same for Alpine. Because Ocon managed to climb from last to seventh or eighth.
Yeah.
A really good result for Ocon, and if Alonso wasn't being an absolute, I don't know what he was doing.
Alonso had a bit of a
there was no magic Alonso this time. It was just a nightmare race for him. Just seemed to hit everyone. So, yeah, a bit of a shame from that. But I think Alpine and Aston Martin were probably the other good teams. Obviously, apart from Aston Martin, the car just stopped working, basically. But apart from that, their practice was good. Qualifying was good. Qualifying was very good.
It was good.
And yeah. So last one, because we'll have to wrap up relatively soon, is the drivers. Now, with the drivers, because there are 20 of these guys, I want your top two your top two best of the weekend, and your two worst of the weekend.
Okay.
Go worst first.
Okay,
go worst first.
Worst. Okay.
Should we get Latifi done and out
No,
the way?
because I think it's just too easy to go for Latifi because his race doesn't really impact anyone or a team or doesn't give any results.
Yeah. Apart from Lewis Hamilton. No
comment.
Apart from Lewis Hamilton.
Someone had a bad weekend that we haven't already discussed about probably was Gasly. I mean, not sure what he was doing being on the radio and then veering to the left to take out Lando's entire race. But it did help the race become a bit more enjoyable, I suppose.
Build up excitement.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, Gasly was one of them. I'm not going to talk about Daniel
I'd rather
Ricciardo.
not see Lando Norris crashing into a wall.
No, I mean, he was lucky to not hit a wall the way he did. I mean, he just spun round and round like a roller coaster, as he likes to call it. I don't want to talk about Daniel Ricciardo because we talked about it, but he did have an abysmal one. Probably Mick Schumacher, to be honest. I was so gutted that he didn't manage to finish the race. I mean, he was on course at points. I don't know if it's going to be 9th or 10th. I can't remember.
10th.
I mean, that
was 10th place.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I would even say it's probably been his best race in Formula One up until that point. And to see him crash out to his sort of like parental mentor was quite hard to take. Because I quite like Seb as it is, and seeing him take out, or vice versa, take out Vettel and Vettel take him out, quite tough. I mean, and after that was a bit of a bad one. They're my bad ones. By yourself?
Bad ones for me. Obviously, removing the ones that literally, at this point, it's just a given every single race. Alonso, definitely Alonso. What was he doing?
True.
The fact he picked up, I think, 6 penalty points on his license. Maybe that might be an exaggeration, but a massive amount of penalty points. I wonder. Let me quickly Google it while I'm here. Alonso penalty points. That is not how you spell Alonso. Alonso
magic.
T points 2022. How many do you have? Alonso given penalty points for Gasly crash, no accident, Schumacher. Alonso loses. No, just 5-second penalties. I think he's got points on his license, but that's not that's not good when you're trying to. I didn't think he was fighting for good positions. If it was on the bottom end of the points, and he's just pushing stupidly too much. And just seemed like a really scrappy, messy. But Alonso does that every now and again. Quality driver.
Didn't go to
and just,
the plan.
There was no L plan this weekend. It was El Sham, more like.
I mean,
second worst driver. I'd have to give it to Tsunoda. Who? This weekend. Who? Tsunoda. Where? Who? I don't think he did anything at all. In fact, let me quickly do. I don't even know where he finished.
17th or something. It was one before Latifi, I think.
12th. He got into 12th.
I'm completely wrong.
But he got into 12th. But apart from you take out the DNFs, Schumacher is still classified as finishing.
Yeah. On the last lap of the race, they put a new wing and new tyres on. I didn't understand that. I thought they just retired it.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
But you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you class Schumacher, 6 DNFs. And then you've got Latifi, Ricciardo, Tsunoda, Alonso.
Alonso, yeah.
I don't know who Alonso is. Fernando Alonso. So you look at that and you're like, well, what was Tsunoda doing there? Alonso's been banging people constantly. Oh, wait, hold on. Because of Alonso, I just realised Aston Martin did actually pick up 1 point.
What, with Stroll?
With Lance Stroll, yeah. Who's doing decently?
Yeah, I was going to say, normally he's a bit of a scapegoat for in the sport being a bit of a Mazepin type character, but he's been quietly doing his job quite well. He's actually becoming
really pretty decent.
Right.
But yeah, Tsunoda is my other one. Alonso and Tsunoda, because just what on earth? Where was Tsunoda for that whole race? The fact that there were 6 people out of the race and Tsunoda is still only in 12th. It's like, why?
And only behind him is going to be Mick Schumacher because he had to pit, and Latifi because he's no comment. Yeah,
I mean Latifi finished somehow 9 seconds off of Ricciardo, who was I don't know, I can't grasp. I think the gap. Here's a note. The gap to 8th to 13th, which is where Ricciardo is. Ocon in 8th, Ricciardo in 13th. The gap to that, 13th to 8th, is the same as the gap 14th to 13th.
Yeah, it's just not good enough, is it?
And they only had 10 racing laps. How are you losing a second a lap when you've not got into any... Can't get into that. Not going to get into that. So, my 2 worst drivers are them. Best drivers.
So, this is a good one. I want to get past the obvious. I'm not going to give Max best driver of the day. It's almost too easy to give first place the best driver of the day unless they've worked for it. A bit like Lewis at Brazil last year, the best race of the season, best champion race of the gods.
Outstanding.
Not going to go into that. Max is too easy. I don't think he deserves it because his car is like what every Max fan says on Twitter about Lewis for the last 7 or 8 years, plus last year. Of course, he's going to win. He's in the fastest car. That is Max Verstappen at the moment. Aside from that, little rant. Probably George Russell got to be there. I mean, he had a scuffed Q2, started 14th, gained a couple of spaces, or 12th or whatever it was, gained a couple of spaces in the first couple of laps. Really struggled with the hards, become the benchmark for the hard tyres for people to learn. I mean, that's quite hard as it is being one of the best of the worst tyre on that grid to start with. Got lucky with the safety car, yes, but you still got to put yourself in that position. I mean, if he didn't get as well as he did on them hard tyres for as long as he did, he wouldn't have had the opportunity when it come his way. Yes, he might be lucky, but he still put himself there. I mean, the radio message is a bit sus, and you have to agree it's probably sus. But however, he put himself there. He put himself for the contention of being in good points and did. So that's one of mine is George. I suppose my other one, to be honest, is quite a difficult one to think about. I was thinking about K-Mag, and then it's only because I remember watching the start of the race and thinking how great he's being at the moment competing. Then I realised he didn't actually do well towards the end. I'm just trying to think.
Yeah. He actually DNF'd.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know that either. But I remember watching him being... K-Mag is on fire today. And then actually texting our group chat saying how good he would be in a top team at the moment. So ignore that one. I'd probably say... do you know what? Moving aside from Charles, Carlos Sainz, probably. I mean, he's had 2 races where he's DNF'd. One was it 2 or 3? One definitely was his fault. One was kind of not really. He didn't have much choice because Daniel Ricciardo scuffed it for him. To recover the way he did, being injured as well from the FIA's resistance to putting in a wall, and then to get 3rd place and good points for the team, look after Leclerc, because he could have at one point let old Checo Perez through and was magic signs and not turning right when he definitely should have turned right on the first turn towards the end of the race. And with one of the best looking scenes on TV for Formula One ever, in my opinion. That was an amazing thing. You just see Perez lock up and see... And he's already going right. Yeah, he already knows what's happened, probably going down the straight. And I think what that bit alone, because I've spoken about it a few times already, has got to make Sainz my best driver of the day. It was just consistent as well. He was keeping pace with Charles for a bit. Yeah, he then dropped off. I think Charles is just, sort of doing the God's work at the moment, trying to be on pace with Max. But yeah, I think Carlos didn't let his team down, didn't crash, which is great for him and his mentality and his attitude and his confidence at the moment. So yeah, I'm going to go Carlos.
Okay. Well, mine are a little bit more different. I think I'll say both of mine and you'll go, oh yeah. I think person did the best probably job with the machinery that they've got was Bottas.
Yeah, great one.
Was
unlucky though.
Just consistent. Unlucky. His fault, like I said, the classic Mercedes bottle job Bottas right at the end when he really shouldn't. He lost his team 4 points there. He scored 6 but could have scored 10. I don't think the Mercedes could have taken him, really.
I think George might have done.
Yeah. Lewis, I don't think he could have got in front of him. But yeah, George, he was on fresh mediums as well. I don't know what tyre Bottas was on. But the fact Bottas still finished 7th place and is still in the remit of where the Mercedes were within, I think, 7 seconds.
To be fair, he deserved 5th.
At the end of the race.
He definitely deserved 5th place.
He deserved 5th. He got 5th in qualifying as well. In the Alfa Romeo. Absolutely brilliant. That's just... Yeah. I mean, he just did a stellar job the whole weekend. He put 1 foot wrong, unfortunately, like Bottas usually does when it matters the most.
What the drivers were saying all race about how slippery and wet this wastage side of the track is with all the bobbles and stuff. And he hit that ever so slightly and compromises turning into the corner, I think. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, all of the what they call marbles.
Yeah, the bits of the tyre.
The rubber, you just stick them on the wheel and that's it. Because the wheels are so hot, they basically just melt back into the wheel, but with horrible grooves, and then ruins it. And then my second one is Alex Albon.
I was expecting it, to be honest.
Yeah. Qualifying wasn't anything to scream and shout about, but the race, he finished in 9th place. He's benefited 1 from Alonso, but apart from that, he just had, again, consistent, really, really consistent, and doing what he needs to do for his team, which is just score points. Just get as many points in as possible. Do you know what? That's an excellent question. What are the constructors right now as of the Miami Grand Prix? Constructors Championship. Let's have a look at the standings. So right now, unfortunately, Williams are at the bottom in 10th, but they've got 3 points on the board. That's only 3 points behind Aston Martin. So Alex Albon keeps putting in them performances, jumping up to nip that 9th place. It's very, very important. If he suddenly gets out of nowhere, Alex Albon is in 6th for some reason and bags 4 points immediately. 4 points for 6th or 7 points, whatever it is. I can't remember. Yeah, 7 points. For 6th, all of a sudden they're just on the back end of Haas. And you think he is doing such a good job keeping Williams, because if Latifi clearly isn't doing anything. So yeah, really, really good. And then Alfa Romeo currently 5th in the Constructors' Championship. Wow. They're 31 points. If you looked at that last year, let me quickly do one click to last year. They finished in 9th with 13 points. This year, on 5 races, they've got 31 points and are currently sitting in 5th place. I'd love to ask
and invite Good to Steiner to be on this pod for one reason only, because you know how great that would be.
He's
and ask him how he feels about what his point situation are compared to last year, what it could have been at the start of the season. Do you remember as well, how there was massive controversy, and there probably still is with old Mazepin, and it all looming over his head and the team's head. But damn, they have made significant improvements compared to last year. We know Haas was the joke, wasn't it, last year?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden now things are, looking decent, at least. Even to that, I was thinking, if you're an American fan, who is not following, the big trio of teams. There's a lot of American fans who seem to be quite into McLaren, probably because of Zach Brown. But if you're an American fan watching Formula One going, I'm going to follow an American team, you'd probably look at Haas and think, I'm quite proud of them at the moment. They're doing a good job.
Yeah, they're putting in the work. And yeah, they could be putting in more work, definitely. But so could a lot of people. But I think, yeah, it's very true. They're doing a good job. They're keeping very consistent. And no, I think you're spot on there, to be honest. But
we've got a couple of more minutes. Should we do some really quick fire points?
Well, I was going to jump into a little section on closing thoughts. And closing thoughts, this is just going to be how you thought the weekend went. What did you like? A moment that was good, maybe a chuck in a meme that you've seen, which was a bit fire. A couple of funny bits that have happened, excellent bits. And go ahead. What is closing thoughts of the race? And if you've seen it,
we'll keep it to one-liners, I think. So closing thoughts. I like the circuit. Didn't like the Americanism of everything, but that's my opinion on it. Looking forward to next year's iteration, but things need to change.
Yeah, like that a lot. My one for the race would be like the circuit can produce good racing, but this is going to be a little hint onto our next podcast that we're going to do either late this week or next week, is something needs to happen with hard tyres. But we'll leave that one till the next pod. So, yeah, that's basically it. Thought the racetrack was really good. But yeah, something needs to happen with hards and tyres in general, but mainly hards. So yeah, you seen anything funny or interesting that we can link up at the end?
Yeah, I've got a series of funny memes about Christian Horner, which I've touched on. I'm hoping that there's this content creator that's been going around my Facebook groups as well about a 3D version of the race. So hopefully, if I find that, I will also link the TikTok creator who does them. Hopefully, that comes up for this race because it will be funny. I've also got a pretty good Oblivion NPC loading model of Pharrell Williams, trying to think of what kind of personality he is.
Yeah,
I'm gonna edit this one into the audio so people can see the video footage of that. There's not. I haven't seen too many more because I think it's a lot of people actually complaining about Christian Horner taking the limelight compared to the entire race.
Oh yeah, I think we saw Christian Horner more than we saw the race.
I think we genuinely did. We definitely heard from him more than we saw of Max. 100%. That we definitely do that.
Could have passed the microphone to anybody else.
What the worst scenario would be is that on Sky Sports they would go from Crofty shouting really loud to hearing about Christian Horner talking about the weather, which he was going to do, and then transition to Karun Chandhok, which is the worst set of commentary going at the moment. If you go from that, which did happen as well.
Yeah, it wasn't the best, was it? The Sky.
No.
The Sky
and also,
direction.
just on the direction, I don't think it won't be Sky, it'll be a Formula One's broadcast team. The camera work at that race was bad, wasn't it?
I saw a tweet from Matt Gallagher from WTF1, very heavily liked tweet as well. It was like a message to Formula One: if there's a battle going on the track, please do not show us the crowd cheering and people cheering. It's like, thank you from everybody.
Exactly.
It was like, everybody agrees with that. Everybody liked that. I don't understand why they're showing us the fans. That doesn't make
it'll be fans, but it'll be fans
sense.
in the pool near the mermaid. They kept showing and
they kept doing that weird zoom out
camera
camera
about
thing that was on top.
Bloody mermaid.
I was sitting there thinking, how are you at a Formula One race that if you're in that pool, you've probably paid, let's be honest,
$2 or $3 grand, more, $2-3 G's at least, 100%. Unless you're friends with Richard Mill, and that gets you in.
Richard Mill gets you anywhere because he's my boy.
On that bombshell.
On that Richard Mill. I mean, bombshell. Yeah. No, I think that was weird. The cameras, and I kept on looking at it and thinking, like, are they watching the race? or are they just chilling, having a couple of brewskis in the pool? Like, what's going on with that? Like, you've come to watch a Formula One race. Are you watching it, or are you in a pool? Because there's literally the Atlantic Ocean, and like that there waiting for you to go and jump in. It's pretty big, but they're gonna sit in a pool and I didn't get that, but. Influencers, exactly. It's Coachella, but Formula One. Oh my god!
There we go. And on that,
that is the Miami F1. Yeah, I'm going to let you close this one out because.
And on that bombshell, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to end the podcast.
that works perfectly. We'll see you in the next one. We'll be talking about. It's going to be one, hopefully. Well, no, the next one, because Catalonia is 2 weeks' time. The next pod. Is going to be about a couple of changes that we'd like to see with the tyres and a couple of other little things that we might have some bugbears with.
You managed this
so look forward to that one. Some excellent insight to people who have absolutely no idea.
Welcome to the backseat drivers, I suppose.
Yeah, welcome. This has been the first episode, hopefully of many.
And there should be a new participant as well, which we'll introduce not now because he's not here, because that's just the way he is. Hopefully he'll be in.
Yeah, he's going to be another host, but a guest host, if you see what I mean, because he's one of the most unreliable
a bit like
people.
A Mercedes engine at the moment.
A Mercedes engine is ultra reliable. He's like a Red Bull engine.
True, yeah.
He's either really good when he's here, or when he just DNFs completely and blows up. All right, let's actually end this. Right. Thank you again for listening, everybody. Hope you all enjoyed. Please leave feedback wherever we post this, probably on YouTube, Spotify, etc. I think Spotify is likes and upvotes or something, I can't remember, and YouTube comments and likes, algorithm goodness. Have a good rest of your week, and hopefully it's not too much of a pain without any Formula One for 2 weeks. Hope you all enjoyed, and we'll see you again very soon. Take care.
See you later.